Hey, what's going on, everybody? How are you doing? Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you guys are doing super good. We are just about to kick off with another attempt at a Starship Flight 8 launch. Is that you on the Spaceflight Now stream? Spaceflight Now? Not that I know of. No, I have no affiliation. I will say that who we're looking at over here is NASA Spaceflight. NASA Spaceflight is a fantastic organization that brings us these great views until SpaceX goes live. I do have permission from the fabulous DOS to use some of these really great angles that they have. So we are T-minus 41 minutes until flight. Unless they start working any other issues. If you guys remember, we were originally slated to launch on Monday, but some issues with the booster and Starship basically gave us a no-go for the day. They scrubbed 2 days, and then yesterday they broke something during integration. So now we are recycling for Thursday. So yeah, should be good. Weather is expected to be very, very favorable. And like I said, if you guys are not, gosh dang it, I gotta remember it's this side. If you guys are not following NASA Spaceflight, definitely give them a follow. Buy their merch. They're a fantastic organization that gives us these views. So yeah, we are now T-minus 40 minutes away. We should very well be underway for prop load. Prop load should essentially start around the T-minus 43 minute mark is when methane starts flowing, and then at the T-minus 45 minute mark, LOX should start flowing. So we see on the tower umbilicals and the underneath the orbital launch mount that the entire vehicle sits on, venting like crazy, all of that LOX as they try to bring the internal tank structure walls down to temperature, so that way they don't just flash everything that they start pumping into the booster. All of that has to cool down over time because it's comparative to cryogenic liquid oxygen and cryogenic liquid methane. It's very hot. So yeah, venting, a lot of venting going on now. But we should only be around 40 minutes to load the prop here. Actually, prop closeout should be somewhere on the order of 2 T-minus 3 minutes. So they basically fully fill 5,000 metric tons of propellant in these two vehicles in just 43 minutes, which is wild. But it should be good. So today's overall flight, like Flight 7, is going to be testing a whole bunch of new technologies. If you guys remember, Flight 7 was basically the first debut of what SpaceX is calling their version 2 Starship. Not only did they stretch the entire vehicle, which allowed them to get an extra 25% of propellant, they are now able to also test on the booster some of the new technologies that Starship is flying today as well. So we have Starship 34, Booster 15, and hopefully Starship 34 will be the first successful suborbital launch through the coast phase all the way down to landing in the Indian Ocean. Hopefully this will be a great debut for version 2. So we're trying to go up again. We are trying very much to go up again. Yes, indeed we are. So yeah, some of the technologies that version 2 Starship is demonstrating or trying to demonstrate is a whole slew of new technologies that SpaceX wants to integrate into the overall vehicle design. First and foremost, probably the biggest, most notable change is Starship V2 is not only stretched by an extra 2 meters, which allows for an extra 300 metric tons of propellant, which is absolutely crazy. They're also testing a new forward flap position. So if you guys remember from Starship Flight 5, 6, Flight 4, even 4, 5, and 6, they always had some kind of burn through or char on the forward flaps. That's because the forward flaps were basically centered right on the vehicle, like right on the center line of the vehicle. So this new version 2 Starship has those forward flaps. Not only are they smaller and slightly more forward, they're also canted back along the body. So instead of being like right on the mid seam of the entire vehicle like the back flaps are, we also have them basically canted up 15 degrees. Yo, and who was that jokester coming through? Cobra Bubbles gifting 5 subs. Thank you, Cobra, on the Twitch side. Much love to you. Hope you're enjoying the stream. That brings Urban Venture R2D2, RTDU, Waylord, Benjamin, and Scripps. Welcome to the Rocket Club team thing on the Twitch side. Much love to you. Cobra, thank you very much. Starting the stream off on a positive note. We are going to see a launch today. I can feel it. I can feel it. We're T-minus 37 minutes away. So yeah, not only did they have 25% more volume for propellant, not only did they move the forward flaps basically up on the vehicle, kind of more on the top side of the vehicle in order to try and reduce some of the heating that they see. They're also testing new tile designs. Not only do they have what they're calling a new generation heat tile, they're also testing some active cooling heat tiles, meaning that essentially they are going to be made out of some sort of metal or some sort of high heat flux material that as they absorb heat, there's actually going to be pipes on the back side of it flowing cool propellants in order to transfer that heat away from the tile. So they're actually testing some active cooling tiles on this mission as well. Not only that, but of course, as we've already talked about before, they are going to be carrying 4 Starlink V2 payload demonstrators. They're kind of just essentially big dummy masses that look kind of similar to the flat style. Actually, you know what? I might be able to pull up a picture here that we did last time if I can find it. Yes, very good. This is also from NSF here. So, boop, there you go. So Boca Chica Gal, you can see here, that's it. Just a big flat aluminum pallet, essentially. And there's 4 of them on this flight. I think Flight 7 had 10 of them that they were looking to deploy. They're looking to deploy 4 on this mission. Here's another great picture of our upgraded Starlink terminals that have been integrated onto Starship V2, basically enabling 126 megabytes per second of uplink, downlink, and all that sort of stuff. So that's what gives us the fantastic telemetry as well as the coupled high definition video that we are definitely spoiled by from SpaceX, which is pretty great. So more space junk and toxic fuels dumped into the atmosphere. So space junk, not so much. These are all going to be on a suborbital flight. And because they're made out of aluminum, they will burn up on re-entry. But if you kind of think about it, yeah, they're kind of dumping it in the ocean as well, at least Starship, right? So that's a no-go, but all for, I guess, powering through to eventually get a fully reusable system, right? And then, yeah, you bring up the toxic fuels dumped in the atmosphere. Luckily, that is to some degree correct. But luckily, methane and oxygen actually burn fairly clean. You do get some carbon, of course. You do get a lot of dissociative items as well, but it's mainly a fairly clean burn, which is actually really nice. Kind of like hydrolox, where hydrogen and oxygen combine to form just steam. Of course, it's not perfect because we're dealing with really crazy hot temperatures, and so you get a lot of dissociated items. Like even with hydrolox systems, you'll get, some unburnt hydrogen, some unburnt oxygen. You'll get just oxygen atoms. You'll get just hydrogen atoms. You'll get like HO atoms. Yeah, it's not perfect, but all in the way to do fully reusable systems, which hopefully in the long run will help us out, which is pretty good. They don't use hydrogen? No hydrogen on this. None of that toxic stuff, which is a good thing. But yeah, no hydrogen. Elon hinted at cameras on dumblinks. Yes, there are going to be, I think, additional cameras as well. But yeah, so that should be good. Like I said, testing a lot of stuff on here as well for continuing that tech demonstration. This version 2 Starship has everything apparently needed in order to do orbital refueling in space. So if you guys know, Starship can really only get a small amount of payload into low Earth, not a small amount of payload, 100 metric tons of payload into low Earth orbit, but nothing beyond that. So of course, in order to be able to take it all the way to the moon, for it to also return back to low Earth orbit for the HLS system, and then also to be able to ferry astronauts and a whole bunch of equipment to Mars in the future, they have to be able to refuel in space. So version 2 Starship does have that equipment on board in order to accept payload transfer in orbit. So that is of course all being tested. Not only that, but we also have a in-flight Raptor burn on this mission as well in low Earth orbit. So that'll be testing orbital maneuvering capabilities. Like I said, there's just an absolute ton of stuff to work through on this mission. So that's pretty cool. Hey, what's up, Dr. Longballs? How are you? Mars has no magnetosphere. Why go there to live? So, mainly because it's like the only other place that we can, and it also has its own resources. Just because it doesn't have an atmosphere, that's not an insurmountable problem, right? Of course, it is a problem. We have to figure out how to live in a place that doesn't have an atmosphere. Radiation isn't really that big of a problem. That's really what the magnetosphere is designed for, right? Having those orbital belts or shields for radiation, but there are ways around that since we're looking to do that on the moon. But it's mainly we can expand, so why not explore, expand, find new minerals, do things that we can't do here on Earth, right? So yeah, so this is all just for resources? Absolutely not. That's an economical purpose that help, you basically need money to make money, or you need money in order to pursue other ideals, right? It'd be great if that wasn't the case, but you have to find economic reasons to go places and to do things. So yeah, you gotta have something worth going to that is valuable in order to continue other opportunities, right? Impressive as the first launch. Yes, we will definitely see. Yeah, unfortunately, if you guys haven't heard, Intuitive Machines they did land today on the moon, but Intuitive Machines seems like they suffered the same fate as their first mission and that they are on their side. It's unconfirmed at this point as far as my understanding, but I was hoping after launch here we can review the NASA press conference that occurred earlier today. Well, that's a little, I wouldn't go that far, because if you didn't have human life worth, then capitalists wouldn't be able to make anything, right? So I think that's a little bit of an oversimplification. You could say that they don't value it at the same rate as that you might argue that they should, but I wouldn't just say that that isn't valuable. Aren't they doing a press conference today? They already did a press conference, as far as I understand. I think I saw the press conference in my X feed. So yeah. But here we go, chat. We are T-minus 30 minutes away. Let me check real quick to see if the live stream has started from SpaceX, because it did say starting at 3:55. Let me refresh just to make sure. There we go, chat. So I'm going to close down NASA Spaceflight. Again, if you're not giving NASA Spaceflight a follow, please definitely check them out. They give us these great views outside of the official SpaceX coverage, and all around good people's chat, good people's over there. But I'm going to shut up and we're going to get into the official live cast for the moment. Yeah, it's getting a little bit out of sorts there. Absolutely. Why not? Firefly isn't doing half bad with the video coverage. They're really not. Yeah, I'm very happy to have their coverage from the from launch. That was really good for sure.
Good afternoon.
All right, here we go, chat. How is that audio?
To the 8th flight test of Starship.
That seems good.
It's currently 5:01
Look at
p.m.
that
Central
beast.
Time here
28
in
minutes to
Texas,
flight here.
And we're looking forward to tonight's launch of the world's most powerful rocket. Great view there of the vehicle on the pad. I'm Kate Tice, Senior Quality
SpaceX spoiled us, so now we don't see 500 cameras. Yeah, indeed.
SpaceX Communications, welcome to our second ever broadcast from Starbase's new Star Factory building. First, if you don't count Monday. But we are at T-minus 28 minutes.
Try not to swear if possible. We do have kids that watch the stream.
Open of our window at 5:30 p.m. Central
Just
Time
one of those
tonight.
It's all
3 days
good.
ago,
Just
we stood down
for
from
future.
a launch attempt after triggering a few holds during the count, which had us hold at
just a tiny rocket. Yeah, this thing is 40 stories tall. Quite literally, a skyscraper is about to launch into low Earth orbit on a suborbital trajectory. The overall stack with this massive orbital launch mount at the bottom is like 150 meters tall, like 400 feet or whatever that comes out to be. It's pretty crazy. Well, you know, tell that to the kids that watch.
To start up the 20 outer engines on Super Heavy.
I don't know about that, Pupak, when they were watching with their parents, so not gonna touch that one.
Levels and had to call it for the day.
We were able to trace the spin system.
Oh, look at that! 33 Raptor engines on the first stage. I believe,
the time, though,
is this one? No, not this one. Booster 15, I don't think, is doing a reuse on one of the engines.
Was triggering holds on the booster, which we were able to actually clear during that launch attempt by confirming the hardware was healthy, and we had some manual commanding backups. We also looked at some pop-up hardware and software issues on the ship, and just to put us in the best possible spot for a launch today, we destacked Starship, did some repairs inside a ship.
All right, Pupak, let's just enjoy the launch here, okay? It's 26 minutes to launch, then it should be about an hour-long mission.
Our last flight,
let's just get excited about spaceflight.
Tower catch of the Super Heavy booster and the first flight of our upgraded ship, which unfortunately ended much sooner than we had hoped. It's important to remember that in development programs like this,
so these are the forward flaps I was talking about, a brand new design. So you can kind of tell that they are canted towards us. So you can kind of see there, instead of being 180 degrees apart, they're actually higher up on the leeward side of the rocket. Basically a separation of like 145 degrees or something like that. So that being more leeward back allows them to experience less heat because the brunt of the body is now able to experience more heat.
We are planning to deploy some simulated Starlink satellites and fly a range of
that's just your opinion, Pupak. I am certainly not in that boat at all.
Tiles again from the ship for reentry testing and looking to really stress test it.
We'll also be intentionally stressing the flaps during reentry so we can test
let's just watch the live stream and get excited for SpaceX and cheer them on. We don't need to get into the politics and stuff like that.
There's a lot of new testing happening today, and as always, excitement is guaranteed.
Now, just a real quick status check. So you could tell we're loading prop out of the vehicle.
Let's calm down.
Able to get through our
let's calm down a little bit.
Go no go just about 40 minutes ago, and we are loading liquid oxygen, liquid methane.
All right, so we're about 50%
any vehicle
overall
problems, issues on either booster or ship.
On the propellant. Propellant loading should go through quite some time here. Let me check the. So in terms of ship propellant loading complete, that's at 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and then we have the Raptor chill down happening around 19 minutes and 40 seconds.
Now, let's take a couple of minutes to meet today's vehicle. Sitting there on the pad, it's the world's biggest rocket, Starship.
Starship consists of two stages.
All right, let's drop in chat the poo-poo on spaceflight, okay?
Has 33 Raptor engines. Both stages
we're gonna have to bring it back towards SpaceX.
Is the most powerful rocket ever flown and is designed to launch, return, and refuel, and launch again with zero refurb between flights.
All right. So anyways, what we should be able to have here within the next 5 minutes or so should be a chill down on the Raptor engines. We're launching this out of Boca Chica, Texas. This should be out of Orbital Launch Complex A. There's two. They're building the second one over here. This tower should be coming online later this year in just a couple of months. Here you can see their pad deluge system. This is their previous flight on Flight 7. So that big gush of water that you see at the bottom, they have a big shower head, essentially, that just completely obliterates the pad and fills it with water, which is pretty crazy for the 33 Raptor engines that are about to ignite. This vehicle is more powerful by like 2 times the thrust output as the Saturn V. So a lot of power going through on Starship and booster. Heavy looks so awesome. Can't wait for the only thing making us wait is how fast they build a ship. Yeah, truly.
It has 4 flaps that are used to control its attitude and enable precision landing during subsonic flight. And then
spaceflight is more fun without politics. I agree.
Not just once, but multiple times. It does that by using that heat shield, which is composed of those.
Wouldn't want to pay the water bill. Yeah, I don't know if they have.
Which can insulate the vehicle during re-entry, temperatures spiking up to about 20.
I mean, I guess with how fast they're launching, there's no way that they could probably refill that amount of water that quickly by natural means. But I do wonder if they have some sort of collection capability.
Key focus of our flight test.
What's up, Dr. Longballs? How are you?
And of course, in between our first
you know what
and
was broken when they
second stages
destacked?
is
I
our
don't
hot
actually.
stage.
You saw that fall off the
hot
side. I don't know if
staging
that
is
was like
when
a
the second
pin or
stage
something.
engines ignite while
Because, you know, they have guide pins on the bottom of Starship that basically slot into the hot staging ring at the very top of booster. So I can only maybe imagine something like that as they were integrating it, but honestly, I have no idea. It was fairly large, though.
while it's still ignited while the booster's engines are still firing.
It was a
Basically, the
guide
rocket
pad?
never
Cool,
stops
yeah. There you
accelerating,
go.
which makes it more efficient than traditional stage separation.
And then after we launch the booster, we also have to catch the booster. And we do that by using the 2 robotic arms.
Yep, so we have Mechzilla looking for another catch attempt on the booster. Now remember, just like Flight 6 and Flight 7, this will only be achieved through a manual control link sent to booster during its boost back phase. Essentially, if the tower is out of family, that will trigger an automated divert into a soft water landing off the coast of Boca Chica. If everything looks good and SpaceX sees everything nominal, they will then send a manual uplink to the booster during its boost back phase to then go for a catch attempt. So it's just like that. So basically, it's a safety mechanism. They do not want to, of course, hurt their only infrastructure for launch right now, because that would be bad. But yeah, so hopefully with all things going well, they will have another catch attempt today on booster. Did they ever find out what went wrong with the previous Starship 33? Yes. And Starship 34 does have improvements to try and mitigate that from happening. So Chris G, right? Is that Chris G? He used to work for NASA Spaceflight, right? Or Chris B. There were 2 Chris's at one point at NASA. This is number 34. I thought this was 35. Is ship 34, or was ship 34 the last one? I was pretty sure this was ship 34 and booster 15, but if I'm wrong, then yes, please correct me. It's 35 confirmed. Okay. But anyways, on the last Starship that flew, basically what is believed to have occurred is Starship has new propellant feed lines running to the vacuum Raptor engines. See if I can pull up a picture of them here. So here you go. So they have these outer vacuum sealed propellant lines that go to the Vector vacuum Raptor engines on the on Starship, 3 of them, and then the center pipe here feeds all of the sea level Raptor engines that are the 3 in the center. It is believed that these oscillated at a certain frequency that basically at the attachment point of one of these propellant feed lines into the engines started leaking. And eventually that leak caught fire. And then eventually that fire got so big that it essentially, caused really bad things to happen in the form of burning out all the avionics and wiring and all of that, control systems on the engines. Engines started shutting down, put it into a spin. And at that point, a pop occurred by, I believe it was an automated flight termination system. So yeah, what should now be on this particular mission that they have going up today is a brand new vent system. There's a larger vent on the aft end of Starship to try and vent any propellants and fires that might accumulate there. They also said that they improved their fire protection and their fire suppression systems, whatever that means. So there is supposed to be improvements to make sure that doesn't happen again, at least not like it did. Apparently they trucked the water in according to a video from NSF. I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
Was the detection of a harmonic response that was much stronger.
It is 34. I thought so. Get out of here, Graham. Yeah, so this is ship 34, booster 15. Very good.
Noise, vibration that can pass through every component in the rocket itself.
33 is 1.2, 34 is 2.2. Ah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, my pleasure, Goopin. Absolutely.
That it was placing a lot of extra stress on some of Starship's propulsion system, and that's what most likely led to propellant leaks that then
Really,
cascaded
comedian?
into
No
fires,
way.
and ultimately our loss of contact with the ship.
I haven't heard that.
As part of our
I
investigation,
haven't heard that at
our
all.
team took this flight's ship through a 60-second static fire, which was 10 times longer than any previous static fire.
They're talking about the previous
The test
problems.
cycled through throttle
look
levels
at
to
that.
recreate different conditions
Yes.
seen within the propulsion system during flight. You can
60
see that on
seconds
your
full
screen now.
thrust on the
We
ground.
also tested
pretty
hardware
crazy.
changes on fuel feed lines to Raptor's vacuum engines.
Look at this. You can
The
see
additional data
the
we
shock
got from
waves
this
propagate
test
through the
specifically
steam.
led to some new hardware that's installed in the
See it?
RVAC fuel feed
Those are
lines,
shock waves running
which are
through
also
the
unique to
steam
this
going
upgraded
around
version of ship.
the vehicle.
Those feed lines
Shock
look like
waves from the
large
engines.
straws. They run through the oxygen tank, and those are delivering fuel directly to those vacuum engines. The new hardware was successful
Yeah, the
in
vibrations on the ship,
significantly
too.
lowering the strength of that harmonic resonance and relieving the extra stress on the prop system. And then just in addition to new hardware, we made a
All
couple
right,
of
17
operational
minutes.
tweaks,
The
adjusting
booster
things like
should
the
be
temperature
chilling
of
down the
propellant as
engines.
it's being fed to the engines.
That started
Also
at around
changing the
19
throttle level
minutes.
that we're setting
All
those
good so
engines at
far,
on
Rob.
ascent.
Seems
We
good.
also looked at where
Progressing
fires
through the
broke out
count
in the
as
attic,
normal.
which is the unpressurized space between the bottom of the ship's liquid oxygen tank and the engine heat shields.
Right here.
Fires here resulted in loss of ship on flights 2 and 7, so we took steps to make it more resilient to leaks.
Oh, wow.
We added a
Median.
hefty
Yeah,
purge
gotcha.
system that uses gaseous nitrogen. Similar to the carbon dioxide system on the booster, it floods the zone with an inert
Yep, a little bit
gas
of pressure
to help prevent
management.
the fire.
See
We
the vents
also
running.
increased the attic's just natural fire defense.
Methane
We added some more
and
vent
liquid
holes
oxygen,
that
they
helps to
have
keep that attic pressure.
they have vents, right? Because as they're constantly filling up the tanks, and we're starting to see the frost lines on the methane liquid oxygen tanks, they're boiling off as well. Because relatively speaking, as I said earlier, the tanks that are much higher temperature than the cryogenic liquid oxygen and methane are. So they basically have to chill down the tanks to make sure everything remains as a liquid and then also under pressure, but they can't have that pressure get too high during the filling phase, so they're constantly managing pressure.
Data, make updates, and fly again.
I believe it was Cobra. I thought I read that somewhere. Don't confirm. Don't take my word for that.
And
If you can
today we're
find
gonna be
another
attempting to do
source on
everything
that,
we
but I
didn't
was
get
thinking
to on
that
Flight
was
7.
confirmed.
So we're still looking to get our first
Yes, this
re-entry
does
with the
have
upgraded
active
ship,
cooling on
while we're
board.
gonna be really intentionally stressing
I
it
see
against
it,
the data
comedian,
on
I
what
see.
the vehicle's boundaries are. So everything we've got ahead of us, as always, starts with liftoff, and that's super heavy, igniting those 33 Raptor engines, lifting off from the pad here at Starbase for that initial ascent. All 33 will burn for the first roughly 2 minutes before we get into hot staging.
For hot staging, the
Hot
second
stagings
stage
that are
will
out
ignite
3.5
its engines
minutes.
While still attached to the first stage, that will create that stage separation. The booster will perform a flip maneuver and head on back
Around
to the
6.5
launch site here
minutes,
just
we'll
behind
see
us.
super heavy
Then
landing burn.
we will hopefully see the third ever tower catch by the launch tower.
Meanwhile, ship completes its ascent burn.
Starship engine cutoff occurs at around 8 minutes and 44
The
seconds.
Starlink simulators also going to be relighting one of the Raptor engines, one of the sea
All that
level
happens
engines
around
before
19
we
minutes into
get
flight and
into
37 minutes into
re-entry.
flight.
Yeah, that re-entry phase.
And then
will
re-entry
test multiple
starts at
experiments,
47
including
minutes into
missing
flight.
Heat shield tiles, metallic tiles, and loading the
The metallic
vehicle's
tiles are the
flaps.
active cooling
The
tiles that we were
ship
talking about
will then
earlier.
perform a flip maneuver and hopefully achieve a soft water landing as we have seen before.
That should be
We've
at
got some
around an
buoy
hour
cams
and 6
stationed
minutes
out
into
there
flight.
to give us great daylight views of that splashdown in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, it's a lot, but again, we're really focused on finding what are the real world limits of Starship. We're doing it in this very remote area.
Yeah, one of the things we didn't cover yet, but that they're testing on this flight, if we look at a close-up view of Starship on this vehicle, they clearly have, like, I think we counted them on Monday when there was a close-up view. They have 6 rows of tiles removed from where they were on Starship 6, 5, and all previous version 1 Starships. They're doing this in order to test where and how the vehicle can respond for catch attempts. Because basically on the very side of the vehicle, right, where there used to be tiles, there now needs to be space for those grappling arms, those Mechzilla catch arms, to close in and carry the boost or carry the Starship as it lands, right? They're also testing a non-functional catch pin at the very top. You can kind of see it right there. Actually, can you see my mouse? Oh, you can't see my mouse. Anyways, it's right on the side of the booster, kind of right below the flap. And they're testing that it's not actually hooked up to anything in terms of like structurally mounted. It's just kind of bolted onto the side, but they're testing whether or not a catch pin on Starship can survive reentry heating as it's going through reentry. They have to test this because you have to have your catch pin survive if you actually want to catch it with the catch tower. But yeah, you can probably see it fairly well here on the side. Oh, there you go. There's the metallic heat shields as well. So that's pretty cool. They have new generation heat shields as well that they're testing, but they also have a few that are that metallic material. So here's what I was talking about. See this row right here? There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of tiles here that are not here anymore. This is because they have the catch fitting here, and then they plan for the catch arms to be able to scrape the side, just like it does booster, in order to seat it before it actually closes all the way. So yeah, they got rid of all of those tiles that were on the side. So this is going to be a big test to see if this vehicle can survive with those missing tiles, to make sure that heating isn't going to be an issue, because it needs to survive if you want to catch it with a tower. I don't think that needs to go without saying.
Of our heat shield tiles, catching the ship's going to be a little different from catching the
so much
booster.
propellant oxidized, do they lose chilling everything down? Is it a significant portion of the propellants used? I don't know, Naps. Like, they obviously have recirculation, right? They recirculize the propellants that are used. I don't know if they do that for LOX and if it's only for methane, but regardless, they do dump a lot of LOX overboard. You can see all of that LOX venting off of the OLM. So I don't know how much they lose in terms of percentage wise. I personally think, unless somebody has a reference and can tell me otherwise, that they basically, once they refuel it, they have to basically, once they fully fuel Starship and booster like they did on Monday, they have to take at least 2 days to bring more propellants to fill up the system again in order to refuel Starship and Super Heavy. I don't know if that's confirmed, but I know it takes like 100 semi trucks in order to completely fuel Starship and Super Heavy's ground support equipment, and that takes a lot of time to do. So I don't know how much they actually get back, but they do get something back. It's just, I don't know how much in terms of percentage, you know?
We are planning to relight one Raptor engine while in space. That just helps us get data on the in-space burns and show Starship is capable of deorbiting.
Speaking of deorbiting, thanks to Starlink, one of the hallmarks of the Starship missions are the incredible views that we get throughout flight, and especially during reentry, as evidenced by many a phone and desktop background around here. Yeah. Every day, we're working to expand the Starlink network both on Earth and in space. For how this all connects us to the big mission, let's head back to Chris.
Thanks, Kate. Personally, I love all those epic views of the plasma wrapping around Starship during reentry. Can't wait to see that later today. And fans of Starship may know that Starlink enables us to bring you lots of unprecedented views, both from space and here on Earth. Starlink is the world's largest satellite constellation, operating in low Earth orbit today to deliver high-speed, low-latency broadband internet and connectivity, specifically for missions like Starship today.
Look at that.
You can see on your
so
screen,
they already
outfitted
the Indian Ocean with buoys with cameras.
To the dozens of cameras on
so we should get a lot of
good
views this time, even more so than last time.
Deployed in the Indian Ocean, which is what you're seeing some footage of right now on your screen from a previous mission. You'll notice the Starlink mini dish in the foreground here as Starship lands in the background. Just what an image that captured. From an earlier flight.
Oh, I hope we get more than that this time.
Our aerial and cinematography
Rescind all SpaceX funding now. I don't know about that.
Help us
I'm not
deliver
for that.
The incredible drone shots leading up to launch today. And here on your screen, you can actually see us moving the flaps, preparing Starship for flight, making sure all of the aero surfaces that need to move during flight can do so in the way that we need them to. Now, on Starship itself, Starlink will enable Starship today to stream more than 120
There's the wiggle checkout
per
chat.
second of
So they're basically actuating the flaps on both the forward and aft flaps to make sure they're functioning right before flight.
Like you're seeing right now of those flaps moving. This not only helps provide those views, but it also helps give our engineers an incredible amount of data to help us rapidly and iterate across all parts of the system
I got you.
As we move through our development program. And all of the streaming data today will definitely be put to good use with the more than 30 cameras on the vehicle for flight.
There's an infographic that showed how many trucks it takes to refuel the ground systems.
Obviously, to provide internet access for people around the world, many of whom who have never had connectivity before. Now, today, Starlink serves more than 125 countries, territories, and other markets with over 5 million active customers and counting. And
nitrogen.
there
These are just
so many
nitrogen
inspiring ways that
trucks.
people are using Starlink all around the world and in space. And hopefully today,
Isn't
in a
that
few
crazy?
minutes, everyone will get to see
Just
more
nitrogen right there.
inspiration about what our future in space looks like. And Dan and Kate, how are we looking for Starship's flight today?
Thanks, Chris. We are looking forward to those views as well. In fact, we're getting ready to launch Starship in just over 8 minutes. Now, as for a couple status updates, working no major issues on the vehicle. Range is emerald green, you could say. Everything looks great in terms of the sea and airspace here in the Gulf of America, as well as in the Indian Ocean. Of course, we want to make sure both areas are clear as the ship will be splashing down in the Indian Ocean while the booster's going to be coming back to us at the launch site just a couple miles behind Dan and I. Weather, you could call it a silver lining that we had to delay from Monday because holy moly, visibility is 1,000 times better today, and it's going to make for some really great views.
It was way more than I was thinking.
Leading up to today, we did stack the vehicle later
the tank farm,
last night.
600 deliveries.
Reported to their consoles earlier today. The site was cleared and the range team was deployed.
That's right.
600
and
deliveries.
A lot of checkouts have happened just throughout the day, aligning our guidance, navigation control, getting all the tanks ready for prop load, which has about 4 minutes left to go. You can see us almost topping out on ship, getting ready to top out on booster. And then it also includes getting all the ground support systems checked out.
All right, 7 minutes flight,
or
7 minutes till flight, chat.
In advance of
let's see, make sure we're live. So on the Twitch side, to make sure that nobody gets any ads and we get a continuous launch, hopefully for the next hour, I am going to run a short ad break. So until then, I'll see you guys back here on the Twitch side in a few minutes, and then we'll be launching. Hey, thanks, Hippie. I appreciate it.
The vehicle announces that it is back.
6 minutes.
Oh yeah.
6 minutes.
And an audible sonic boom in the area.
Oh, I forgot to mention, chat. What's really cool about this flight for Booster 15, which is the first stage, they're testing actually new systems on board this that are actually stemming from Starship. So Booster 15, this first generation booster, has upgraded avionics that Starship tested previously. And it also has an upgraded battery system. It has a basically distributed battery system, so that way there's redundancy, like more redundancy, and it's called a smart battery system, whatever that means. That's what SpaceX calls it. But it's testing that, which Starship tested previously before as well. So Booster is getting upgrades at the same time, basically using flight-proven systems that Starship used previously. Oh, look at this. This is flight 6? No, flight 5. No, flight 7. This would have been, previous flight, flight 7 on the sunset. Gotta love the microphone peaking. Smash the like button. I appreciate that, Hippie. Hell yeah. Finished making dinner just in time. Yes, indeed. We are 5 minutes out.
And as someone who grew up hearing those sonic booms as the shuttles landed in Florida, and now hearing them for Falcon and Starship.
So in terms of the timeline, we should be like a minute and a half away until propellant load is completed. Ship propellant load completes at around 3 minutes and 20 seconds until launch, and then booster propellant load completes around 2 minutes and 50 seconds until launch. From there, we will have the basically final go no-go poll at T-minus 30 seconds, or maybe C-minus 40 seconds like it was last time. And then if all is good, range is green, booster and ship are tracking no issues, it will be launching, igniting 33 Raptor engines in like a second, ramping up to full power a second after that, and then release, and hopefully we'll see a good launch.
Thanks so much, Chris. Now, if you're just joining us, we're now just about 4 minutes until the liftoff of the 8th test flight of Starship. As we reported earlier, range and weather are both very
after
green,
the Intuitive Machines
green, if you will, and everything
news,
is looking good. Propellant
I really hope,
continues to
SpaceX does a good launch here.
Could
use some good news today.
Both stages of Starship.
Yeah, we're almost fully fueled on our tanks. We're going to see that closeout coming in just about 30 seconds on ship. So that's both the main and the header tanks. And then about 30 seconds later on booster. Once prop load is complete,
Well,
we got just shy of 1 million pounds of liquid propellant, that's liquid oxygen, liquid methane onto both vehicles.
5,000 metric tons total in the vehicle for those on the metric system. 5,000 metric tons.
We're not continuously replenishing the propellant on board Starship or Super Heavy. That's why we essentially have...
Basically, it's called stuffing the tanks. So as I said earlier, as they're filling up the vehicle, it's also constantly boiling off those propellants inside. Why? Because liquid methane, liquid oxygen like to be liquid at like negative 290 degrees or whatever it ends up being. I don't really remember it off the top of my head, but very, very, very cold. And of course, the tanks are much hotter than that. Ambient temperature is much hotter than that, relatively speaking. So that is constantly boiling off into a gas. So they're constantly all the way up until around now where they should be closing it out. There's the big purge out of the vertical fill lines. So they're purging whatever is remaining in the fill lines here to make sure that the big hot stuff that is about to be very near this doesn't flash everything into gas and cause ruptures in the piping. So that big purge out of the side of the tower is for basically draining all of the propellant stuck in those lines at the moment.
Checkouts or pressurizations if necessary. But
Ariane 6 was successful. I did see that. Yes, that is true.
A number of things
Let's have a second good launch.
In rapid succession. The ground spin and ignition systems will come up to flight pressure. The ship goes to internal power, and after that,
wish I was home to watch it on my monitors instead of your phone. Yeah, I feel you, comedian. Hey, PC Tech, how are you?
After T0. Once we passed T-minus 40 seconds, as we saw on Monday, we had the ability to recycle the count under certain conditions.
So there's that side purge on the tower, again, getting rid of all the propellant inside of these lines going into the system.
To proceed to T0.
And like we said, we can hang out at T-minus 40 for several minutes before we start running to do some limits, essentially, on our propellant on board. There are a couple of other things, like if we pass the T-minus 10 second point,
hold your breath, chat. T-minus 40 seconds is the gate threshold. Oh, there's the gimbal checkout. Oh, look at that. 13 engines doing a gimbal checkout.
There's our TVC, our thrust vector control checkout. It's got a little bit of a wiggle.
No, don't you do this to me. Don't you do this to me. Oh no, coming in with 20 gifted subs.
And the landing burn.
Good
so
lord.
Cool to see those.
Yeah.
20 gifted. Oh no, why?
Falcon. It's just so cool
well,
to see.
Thank you very, very much.
Really the business end of the Super Heavy booster.
Right before the launch, let's do this. Good gravy. Thank you very much, Ono. Much love to you, my friend. Let's have a good launch, yeah?
Gift subscription received.
10 seconds away from that T-minus 40 hold. We'll see.
Hold your breath.
All right, we are going to hold at T-minus 40.
No!
We're watching the temperatures on the ship right now for the ship fuel. Sounds like they're working through that. We might be able to release that hold shortly.
They got to make sure propellants are fully conditioned for launch. They have to make sure that...
All right, sounds like we're going to be able to reset those
There we go.
holds,
Yep, just a quick check.
Any other holds.
38 seconds, chat. Let's do this.
And clock is rolling.
All right. 30 seconds.
And the clock is rolling once again. We're now T-minus 30 seconds till the liftoff of the 8th flight of Starship.
Go for launch. Countdown 1.
Our flight director, Joe Schleicher, today is go for launch. Let's listen in as he takes us through the final seconds of the count.
10 seconds. Pad deluge system.
T-minus 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
There it is.
1.
All right, look at this. So all the steam, you can see the sound propagate through, and we have good liftoff. Man, that thing rocketed off the pad. That looks so much faster than the last flight. We're up, we're away. Flight 8 is going to space. Already a kilometer in atmosphere, or in the atmosphere, already a kilometer up. 140 meters, 400 feet skyscraper going into space right now. We have 33 by 33 engines. All 33 engines on the first stage are good.
All right,
Oh, that is looking so good.
A little over 40 seconds into the flight, we are seeing 33 out of 33 Raptor engines ignited.
All looking good.
Boosters pushing us
pitching
downrange over the Gulf. Next milestone
you can see it. Look at it. It's pitching.
Just under 10
pitching
seconds
over in the attitude.
Max Q, that max aerodynamic pressure.
Oh, it's supersonic. You can see the shock cones, the vapor cones go around the booster and Starship.
Max Q.
Max Q. Vehicle should be going into supersonic now. Look at the power. That's right.
All right, so we're through Max Q. That's the heaviest stresses it's kind of seeing on the way up. Wow, that was pretty incredible.
Oh, look at the column. You can see the shadow all the way through.
That was amazing.
Oh, that's looking so good.
Beautiful views of the vehicle.
All right, so we
on
should
ascent,
have
pitching downrange away from the launch tower.
We should have Miko at around 2 minutes and 32 seconds.
Next thing coming up is hot staging. So we're going to look for 6 engines to ignite on ship while we're still attached to the top of the booster. We'll see all but those 3 center engines shut down on booster.
Yep, so we'll have a lot of stuff happening at rapid succession here. We'll have Starship engine ignition. First, we'll see basically 30 engines shut down on the first stage. Starship engines will ignite. Starship will separate. Booster will turn around and start a boost back burn after igniting its engines again. That should happen here in about 20 seconds.
On hot staging, the ship's engines will ignite while still attached to the super heavy booster.
So we'll see here at the very bottom.
Will still be under power itself.
We'll see down here all of the engines start to shut down one by one. Don't you do this to me right now, Twitter.
Together are going to release, and Starship second stage engines will
booster engine cut off.
There they go, down to 3 engines.
Ship engine startup.
There we go. We have 6x6 engines on Starship.
Stage separation.
Oh, that's looking brilliant. They have the IR footage on it too. Look at Booster. All right, so Booster has only what is that? 11
all 6 Raptors ignited. We're
11 engines on boost back.
Burn. Looks like we got 11 of the 13.
That might not be good for a landing.
Start sending.
Go for return.
The booster back. We are still go for booster return.
There we go. We're go for return. They're going to catch attempt.
We can do a full duration one.
Chamber pushes nominal.
Looks like we got a ship, 6 engines heading into space.
2 engines not igniting, and they can get it back still. That's crazy.
How's everything going in Hawthorne,
Yeah, it did a flip. It basically flipped back around to burn back towards the landing point.
And now watching the booster coming back. So as you can see on the left-hand side of your screen here, that is ship continuing. And that's a great view of ship continuing on its way to space.
So it doesn't look like it, but these engines are on.
Inside the aft skirt, looking at the Raptor
you can see just a little faint pink glow here, but all of these engines are on.
Under our T+
it burns pretty clean.
See our boost back burn. We're down to 3 engines.
Oh, what a great inside view.
And you can
I love that we have an
engine
section view.
With 6 engines lit, continuing its ascent to orbit, already over 100 kilometers in altitude.
All right.
The booster,
so what we should be seeing next is hot staging jettison at 3 minutes and 32 seconds. So that already is passed.
And catch site.
We did get a camera view of that.
And we just heard a good call out for boost back shutdown. The next thing we should see on our screen is the separation of the hot stage from the super heavy booster. We jettisoned that because we do not need it
there it goes.
For the landing.
There goes chat right there. Oh, because they only had 11 out of 13 engines, they prolonged the burn. So their timeline is now going to be off.
Today, you can see it on the right-hand side of your screen there, just separating off from the right-hand side of the booster. You can also see the booster doing its liquid oxygen dump there, which is exactly what we would expect for it to do as the booster gets itself configured for the landing here. Now, meanwhile, Starship will continue to coast after it reaches orbit for about 40 minutes or so.
Look at that, dumping LOX overboard.
But it's still
basically making sure it has the proper amounts in order to land with. Can't land with too much propellant.
Velocity. And just look at those great views of the booster coming back, the Gulf coastline.
Because it can't land with too much, also for pressure management.
Starship is on a nominal trajectory.
Look at that.
There we hear nominal trajectories.
Hot staging ring better get out of the way.
Dan and Kate, we're at 5 minutes, 15 seconds here.
It might, Graham.
Into the flight.
No, hot staging ring separated. There it is right there.
And for Starship
what a great
today.
IR track.
What's it like there at Starbase as we get ready to catch?
So depending on how far out of whack their official timeline is.
be able to see the mock diamonds with my own
Still
eyes,
purging.
that was amazing. We are standing by for return of booster back to the launch
Booster
tower.
landing should start at around 6.5 minutes. So again, everything might be prolonged now because it had to do a longer boost back burn, but
we're able to see the
on the official timeline at 6.5 minutes, it should do the landing burn.
30 seconds, we're going to look for the landing burn.
That's a fire. Look at that. Look at that. It's going through entry right now. You see that? This is the IR footage, so that stuff is getting hot going through entry.
Velocity as we're slowing down from supersonic speeds, eventually moding down
that is
to
getting
only
hot.
3 engines for that precision flight into the tower.
Right now, booster using its 4 hypersonic grid fins to help guide itself through this.
Oh, what a
atmospheric
great
entry
view.
Back for its precision landing at the launch site. Once again, we're going to
that's from the ground.
First the Center 13 engines.
Oh, there's engine ignition at 6:30, so their timeline is correct.
This is going to come
We
down
had all
to
but
3
one, I think,
engines
ignite on
as
that
the
landing.
booster slows down for its landing.
Oh, it's correcting.
And we just heard the sonic boom.
Catch towers are closing.
What an incredible sight to see the super heavy booster gliding down into the chopstick arms once again.
Easy mode. Again on the catch pins.
Stuck the landing.
Look at all of that. So all of that is part of their thermal protection system burning off.
That will never get old.
It's smoky down there, chat.
All right.
Oh,
we
man.
Saw 12 out of 13 light for that
Yeah, 12 out of 13.
Booster
One
still
did
able
not
to make
ignite
its
on the
way
landing.
With
But
that
didn't
final
need it.
precision burn
They
on
have-
the 3 engines.
they have redundancy.
In for the tower catch, so booster caught.
Wow.
Meanwhile, keep an
ship
eye
is
on
still
ship.
good.
Still got 6 Raptors burning.
So
Those
ship
are gonna
should shut
continue
down
for about
8 minutes and 44
minute.
seconds. Yeah, 1 minute from
until
now
we'll
should be
get
shut
to,
down on Starship. I
Starship
can't believe it.
engine cutoff.
Another booster's landed.
Really cool view. Again,
Yeah, the
million
CH4
shout-outs
levels
to all
definitely.
of our avionics team who
Yeah, it doesn't
make
come down
these
with a lot of
cameras
fuel at all.
possible for us. That's looking right down.
Is it smokier than
inside
usual? It
essentially
kind
the
of seemed
skirt
that way,
area
Goopin.
of Ship, where you can see a pretty good view of all.
Are they
6
landing
Raptors,
Starship?
especially
It will be
those 3
landing in
inner
the
ones,
Indian
one of which
Ocean.
We're going to hopefully relight a little bit later.
No. No.
And we just saw some engines go out.
That's bad. That's not
It
good.
looks like we are losing attitude control of the ship.
Yep, that's flight termination system should activate at this point, I would think. Unless it can stabilize itself after the fact, but it's not on a good trajectory. Oh, did you see some of that? I saw some debris, I think, unless that was video. FTS is saved, it said. So flight
So we're
termination
still
system is not
Getting
going to...
video down from the ship, you can see we've lost several engines and we've lost attitude control of the
Not
vehicle.
good. Not good. So as it's rotating, it's constantly losing linking to Starlink. So that's why it's very choppy right now as it's rotating. Rotating end over end. We're still getting telemetry, so it hasn't popped or anything.
So we'll continue to stick
Up,
with
it's
it.
lost another engine. Still getting telemetry though. Maybe.
For those of you that have
Wow, it
For
is
those of you that
rotating
just,
very quickly.
Recently joined us, we had a successful liftoff of the 8th test flight of Starship, followed
There's
by
all engines out.
a successful
We're still
stage
getting
separation.
telemetry,
We saw the
so it
booster
didn't pop
actually,
yet.
You can see
which
it
is,
just behind
I
us
guess,
here.
good.
The booster had a successful catch back at
But that's
the
it.
tower.
It's.
Unfortunately, it seems as though
I don't think they can get it
lost
back from that.
The attitude control of the ship. We are standing by as we listen in with the teams on the nets to understand what
But
information
they
we're able
saved
to
the
provide
flight
you.
termination
We will
system,
provide that
so
as soon as we are
now
able,
that the engines are
but
off, I wonder if they have the
pretty incredible
ability
take a
to
moment and
arrest
see
that
the
tumble
booster
with its
just behind
attitude
us.
control system.
Certainly
Yeah.
a different view
It's
than
not
last
looking
time.
good though.
And at this point, we've essentially lost contact with the ship. We're no longer receiving telemetry
Uh-oh.
at this moment. So
So it has
we were
completely
only
lost.
About 20 seconds away or so from the end of that ship ascent burn. We saw several of the engines start to cut out. Once you lose enough of those center engines, you're going to lose attitude control. And so
Man.
we did see the ship start to go into a spin, and at this point, we have lost contact with the ship. So we're going to listen in for a little bit, just
Well,
think it's
let's
pretty
see.
obvious we're not going to continue the rest of the mission today, but
let's get to
just give us a couple more
X
minutes.
and
We'll
see
bring
if
you more
anybody sees a
information as it
pop
comes in.
somewhere. Scott Manley. Oh no. Yeah, not good. Anything here? Pop it off over here. See, so I can scroll down really quick. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Son of a gun. Bring it over here. Let's look at the mission control here. Yeah, I'll bring up X on another feed off screen so we can look at it. I can monitor to see if there's any popping or stuff going on like we saw over the Bahamas and over the Caribbean islands before. But yeah, watch out, Turks. That's right. Exactly. Yeah, those islands are might be seeing it again. We still got video, just no comms at the moment. So just to make sure there's no dead air, play a little bit of soft music in the background. I love the new camera angles though. It does look like it got a little bit hotter than previous flights. Not seeing anything coming across the feed right now though. Nothing yet anyways. Usually, I think it took around 8 minutes or like 10 minutes last time to get feed on X on whether or not people saw from the ground explosions, but we'll see. That's 2 ships in a row. Yeah, that's not good. 2 landers in a row, 2 starships in a row. What do you reckon caused that? I don't know. We didn't unfortunately get to see very many views like we did last time. Like last time, if you remember on ship 33, we got it right before all of the engines started shutting down, one after the other. We actually got a camera view showing fire in the aft flap, which was a pretty clear indicator that if there's a fire there, there's a fire inside of where that aft flap connects, which is on the inside of the aft engine section of Starship. We didn't really get to see that this time. We were still looking at booster, so I'm not sure. There was a fire in the aft again. Was that confirmed? There was a fire in the aft in the last shot of the engines. Well, let's see. We'll pan back here.
Caught from one of our long
engines lit, continuing its ascent to orbit.
So I don't see anything
over
there.
100 kilometers in kilometers, but it's still got
with my own
engines to the tower.
So it's after landing, right?
down into the old
burning. Those are going to continue.
Don't see anything yet.
For about
so we'll see.
Another minute until we'll get to
the
Starship.
Good call. Yeah,
cutoff.
there it is. You can definitely see
really
it.
Cool view.
I totally did not notice that before.
A million shout outs to all of our avionics team who
look at that,
make these cameras possible
and how,
for us. That's looking.
So we're
right
already past the point that it
the skirt area
it started shutting down previously.
A pretty good view of
on the previous mission. Oh, there it goes. So it happened at 8 minutes and 6 seconds. And look at that. Not in sequence like it was last time. But yeah, you could definitely see some sort of fire in the engine section. Oh, and then something popped. Did you see that? The entire camera shook. Did you see that, chat? Or was that just me? I swear the entire vehicle shook for a second and then started, you started seeing... Ooh, yeah, no. Yep, something popped. An engine popped, or if they had the same issue as before, then their connection to the propellant line may have popped, and then it starts tumbling because you only have two engines out of symmetry on. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Where's that fire? Soon, Flight 11 will have even bigger vents. Yeah, maybe. Well, yeah, Flight 11. I see what you're saying, yeah. Come on. Switch to that other camera view. Did you say you thought you saw debris? Yeah. I thought I saw debris when it started tumbling. Oh, look at that in the background. See that? We're seeing the shadow of the ascent plume. That's what that is back there. For a second I was like, is that something falling off the ship in the background? No, that's the launch site. Can I post a link? Yeah, you should be able to. What you got? There it is. There it is. Yep. Huh. Where is this? Wait, re-entering as viewed from the Cape. They can see it from the Cape? I mean, I know it's really high, but interesting. Could you have seen the previous one from the Cape? That's kind of crazy. Planes are diverting on flight radar? Goodness gracious. Yeah, that's not good. And I'm sorry, Starfleet. Did you get timed? Well, you got timed out, but I think you're okay now. I should have given you a link permit. I didn't think. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That was on me. That's not good. Yeah, no. They said it was 20 to 30 seconds from engine cutoff, so no way it's re-entering yet. Well, it could be re-entering by now, because it was only 100. If we go back to the flight here, it's only 140 kilometers, and by the time we lose the connection, it's dropped another 10 kilometers. So it was already falling because of its tumbling and whatnot. And if it was tumbling, then eventually it would probably hit atmosphere. Well, actually it would have exploded. And so if it exploded as well because of flight termination or because something really went catastrophically wrong and it caused a pop, then no longer is it one system that's a lot of mass with little drag. It's now a bunch of tiny systems that have low mass with a lot of drag. So yeah, it could definitely enter pretty quickly from this point since it's already falling and it's only 100 kilometers, 130 kilometers in atmosphere, or in the atmosphere altitude. But yeah, that interesting. Yeah, you can very clearly see fire, like a hue of fire on the inside here. You can actually see it burning down here as well. I'll hit play here in a second. Just go back to block 1. Yeah. But yeah, let's see if I scroll back here a little bit. Yeah, you see that? All that smoke? That engine is like on fire. Oh wait, you can also see it here. Look at that. Something is definitely burning. Like, yeah. Not great. You don't want to see smoke like that. That actually looks like smoke and not just a vent. And then everything looks fine. And then you can see a very clear shutter. But the shutter does happen after shutdown of a couple of engines. But then that happens. Well, actually, hold up. I bet you the video is behind our telemetry link. So that actually probably happened all at the same time, actually, right? That's what I'm thinking anyways. What you got, Magoopin? Ooh. 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 Not good. Not good. They will learn to shut those engines down faster and restart them later. Maybe, Goldstein. Maybe. Ooh, that is a big yikes. Well, I'm glad they expanded the flight restriction area. If you guys saw the very beginning of the stream, I think it was actually for NASA spaceflight. I think they went over this. NASA spaceflight showed that they extended the range from Flight 7, like all the way past the Caribbean islands, to basically where the last one exploded. So hopefully that means that there were already, no planes in the area, unlike the last time. So yeah. But yeah, we'll see. That looks darn scary, doesn't it? It's like the end of the world, right? You see like a massive spaceship, like Independence Day coming through the atmosphere, right? That's all you see. That is painful, yeah. That is definitely painful. So we have 2 of them. Okay, so NASA spaceflight showing a replay. Oh, did they end? Okay, they did end. I think that's fine though, because we still have it. So yeah, what I'm thinking here, chat, is the telemetry is slightly faster than the video link, which means that when we see the engines move here, that's actually happening there with that very sudden pop. And you can see the entire vehicle shutter for that split second, all that jazz. So yeah, not great. And then it starts tumbling. I want to see if you can actually see debris. Is that the moon? I think that's just the moon. Don't worry about that. That's probably just ice. Like I said, I don't know if it was debris that I was seeing or if it was just like video artifacts from it tumbling. Like that's video artifacts. So it may have just been video artifacts. Yeah, I don't see any clear, well, unless that was it there. That could have just been video artifacting though. Yeah, I think that's just video artifacts. Well, actually, was it? What was that for a second? Okay, no, that is video artifacting. Okay, just wanted to make sure that we weren't seeing debris there. But regardless, not great. Not great at all. Mm-mm. Hey, that's fair, Wraith. Hey, I just try to enjoy spaceflight for what it is and not worry about any politics involved, you know? Starship detonation. Oh, well, from T0. I know T0. But yeah. Does it say where it is? This is from Miami. I mean, what else would be flying? Like, this would be hilarious if this was a complete coincidence and we had like a upper stage from Arian, which launched earlier, re-entering the atmosphere right now. I don't know. I'm just... that would be way too big of a coincidence. Trevor... oh, Trevor caught the explosion from Florida? Did he? Did he change his profile picture? What's his last name? I swear, I know Trevor. Unless he has a different like name to go by on X. But yeah. I guess EJ can go home now. Yeah, that sucks. That's a bummer. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Rams, indeed. Didn't they just add a system for extinguishing fires? Yeah, but depending on what actually happened, it might not have even been able to do it, you know? Oh, wow. That is very, very, very not good. Yep, all the planes diverting. We're gonna go this way now. Turn right. Ooh. Yeah. Oh gosh, that is not great, chat. That is really not good. Second one in a row. Second one in a row. Wow. Wow. We're kind of cooked. We'll have to see exactly what happens, but yeah, FAA might do a prolonged investigation on this one. Another billion up in smoke? No, not another billion. Definitely not a billion. Starship, with how it's being built right now and how many they're making, nowhere near. Nowhere near that cost. But yeah, a couple million. I would put it on the maybe 60 million, something like that. Probably as expensive as Falcon 9, just because of how quickly they're iterating, and it's not a full system either. So no way it'll happen a third time. Third time's a charm? Question mark.
Holy shit, dude!
I gotta love X in the background over X. That guy said everything that we were all thinking. Yeah. Perfectly timed. I thought that was SpaceX's live stream saying that. Oh my lord.
You can see our boost back burn. We're down to 3 engines on the boost
oh
back
man,
burn.
yeah, time that guy out. Yeah, $10 million per Starship itself, says Elon. Okay, on Rogan. Oh, that's actually nice. Thank you, Data. So he said that on the Rogan podcast. 10 million. Is that just for Starship or also booster? Because then I would probably jump that up to 20, maybe 30.
There's a
check teeth. Yeah, okay.
Call out for boost back
I want to check that landing though.
The next thing
again.
we should see on our screen is the separation of the hot stage from the super heavy booster. We jettisoned that.
Was that
we do not need it.
Was that a fire alarm, chat? That sounded like in the background a fire alarm going off for a split second, or like a door alarm. But I mean, that was not coupled to Starship. But was that foreshadowing? Now that we know what happened,
over 100 kilometers in altitude.
It was definitely foreshadowing at the time, but we didn't know to what.
Continuing its trek right now back to the landing site and catch site. There's a
shutdown,
and we just heard a good call out for boost back shutdown. The next thing we should see on our screen is the separation of the hot stage.
It's definitely
from
there.
The super heavy booster. We jettison that because we
That's crazy.
Need it.
Look at the left RVAC.
The super heavy booster. We jettison that because we the separation of.
Look at the left RVAC. This one. What about it? What are we looking at? Or what did you see?
Back shutdown. The next thing we should see on our screen is the separation of the hot stage from the super heavy booster.
To me, the left RVAC looks fine.
Need it for the landing, but on future iterations of the super heavy, that hot stage ring will be incorporated into the booster, and we will get it back
behind the booster graph.
Heavy,
yeah.
Do separation of the hot stage from the
I mean,
super heavy
like
booster.
right here down here, or what? I'm just saying I'm not seeing something. If you're seeing something, there's a red spot. Yeah, I noticed that there as well, much further down the line. Like if we go after landing, see it? I don't know if that is just part of the engine and it's supposed to be like that, or if it's like something else. But yeah, I noticed that at this point that was very, very red, but I don't know, because that's part of the engine, the nozzle extension here. So I don't really know what that could be unless it's just heating up, which could be bad. Could mean that they did have a hot spot. What engine actually went out first?
Avionics team, who
because it's clearly burning there, and it's not burning from that point, right? Like
to all of our avionics
clearly something is burning here. It looks like it's burning from this engine here. So I wonder, did all engines go at the same time? Well, I mean, if it popped, I guess all engines went out at the same time.
A million shout outs to all of our avionics team.
Let's see what happens.
Make these cameras possible for us. That's looking.
Just got to switch to the other camera view.
Down inside, essentially the skirt area of ship.
And then we want to look over here.
You can see a pretty good view of all 6 Raptors, especially those 3 inner. Where you can see a pretty good view of all 6 Raptors.
Oh, interesting. No. X, don't do this to me, man. I guess they ended the stream or something. And man, I hate X sometimes on the streaming services. You have to like reload and do all this stuff. There we go.
It just behind us here.
Gonna hopefully be a pretty good view of all 6.
It went Raptor first. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean anything just because that was what the telemetry came down to us happened.
Area of ship.
But it should be taken into account that we have the Raptor engine go first, almost at the same time as this far engine and then the middle engine. That's really interesting. Do we know which RVAC each are in the telemetry video? Not necessarily, no. I don't know. I don't know if how these match up. I guess if we go back to here, there's 1 and there's 2. So from left versus right. So I think, wouldn't this one be this one if it was turned around? I'm trying to get my spatial reasoning in here first. No, I was right the first time. So this one would be this one would be that one. So this one does go first, I think, if I have it lined up. You guys can double check me on that.
A million shout outs to all of our avionics team who make these cameras.
Because we know it's 2, because the way that the vehicles are situated in terms of engines, right? We know that they're not symmetrical. So, well, I mean, they do have axes of symmetry, but they're not symmetrical from like how they're positioned in Starship, looking at dorsal versus ventral side of Starship. So we know on the on this particular view, we have 2 on the top, 1 in the middle, right? 2 on the top, 1 in the middle. So again, depending on how this camera is angled, but this is also actually angled with respect to the horizon. How is Starship angled? So yep, that's it. Yeah. So that's right. Look, so Starship is angled, right? Basically sideways going into orbit. You can tell it's the sideways because of the way that it is. And we can also see the horizon in the background on this camera angle. So from here, that is dorsal side. So dorsal side, and this is the top. Yeah, so it should be the ones that we're looking at here. Now the question is if we turn this around then and rotate this so that we were looking at it almost like we're looking back at the back end of Starship, then I'm pretty sure if my spatial reasoning is correct, this one goes to this one to this one, and this top one here is this one right here. You guys, like I said, can back me up on that. The active cooling uses the methane, so a hotspot might mean no cooling or methane flow. Yep, that's very true. It's so interesting that it's down here, and then we see smoke on this engine here. So like I said, it could be that this is having a problem, but I just don't know if we have enough to say that that is the cause here. I mean, we don't have enough to say that anything is the cause here, right? But just you know, saying. There's clips on X showing the skirt view during engine failure, a zoom in of SpaceX stream. Oh, do you have a link to that? There's clips on X now showing the skirt view during engine failure. Yeah, can you post that in here and we'll get that up? I have given you link permits, I believe. And then you also have one as well, Philip. Yeah, we'll get all the links in here that we can. It's over? No, it's not over. It's not over until the fat lady sings or whatever it is, right? Manley gave his explanation about 15 minutes ago of how one engine failure propagated to the others due to some sloshing fuel. Sloshing?
The Starship engine cutoff. Really cool view. Again, a million shout outs to all of our avionics team who make these cameras possible for us. That's looking right down inside essentially the skirt area of ship where you can see.
So it does pitch
a
there.
Pretty good view of all 6 Raptors, especially those 3 inner ones.
I don't feel like that'd be enough. It's also under acceleration. Usually sloshing requires more than that. Oh, you're talking about the spin. Well, that's fine, but no, all the engines went out before it started doing that in the first place. Wait, what did I see? Oh. Oh, no. Wait. Okay. Yep. Yeah, the spin happened after the engine loss. Watch the LOX levels go crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of information to scrub through, isn't there, chat? Yeah, so right now LOX looks fine, right? It's roughly in line with CH4.
Hopefully relight a little bit later.
Oh, well, yeah, okay. That is because the propellant slosh, I'm pretty sure.
We just saw some
because it starts rotating
out.
And whatever sensors they're using for estimating their propellant load is basically hitting LOX and then not hitting LOX and then hitting LOX and then not hitting LOX. So yeah, that LOX, those propellant estimations are most likely because it's rotating like this now. Yeah, not good. Maybe try Legos if you want a less political hobby. Yeah, maybe.
Ship FTS is saved.
No, absolutely not, Rams. No, we try to stick to just spaceflight here, so we try to keep politics out of it. You can say politics are part of spaceflight, and they absolutely are, but there's places to talk about that and places not, you know? Try to come in here and get away from all that nonsense. Do you think SpaceX have to redesign the propellant system? I mean, if it's the same problem, then yeah. I would have to say that they would have to, Sleazy. But right now, there's a big process that has to happen, right, chat? They have to do basically an entire investigation all over again that they did in the first flight. They have to, of course, make sure that they get to the root cause, doing what's a root cause analysis, you know, basically going through the entire tree of telemetry. They literally have tens of thousands of telemetry lines that they have to go through. Each one of those 10,000 telemetry lines has, you know, probably thousands of sensors giving those telemetry marks. There's just a lot involved with even just figuring out what the actual problem was and how it propagated. And then from there, if it comes out to be basically the same problem as before, which is the propellant lines, the new propellant lines, which we showed earlier. If I can bring it up here. Let me see, stand by. We had a good picture of those propellant lines somewhere. But where? I don't remember. Was it from here? May have been from here. Not from there. I had him queued up somewhere. Aha. Nope, that's not it either. Son of a gun. Did I delete it? Nope, I found it. Okay. Bring that up and over. There we go. And then you guys can't see it, but blam. So these are the newest propellant lines, right? So how they used to have it, they used to have one single propellant feed line in the center feeding all 6 engines on Starship, just like this center one here. They have since, in version 2 Starship, so starting from last flight that failed, introduced these external propellant lines that go directly to feeding the 3 Raptor vacuum engines. And so on the first flight, what they believe happened was basically during the vehicle's ascent profile with the engines burning at full thrust and whatnot, as propellant started draining and all that sort of stuff, they hit a harmonic frequency that basically shook them and their attachment point to the Vactors loose. And then they started basically spewing propellant. That propellant caught fire, created a bigger fire until eventually it ate through all the communication systems on the engines, caused them to shut down one by one, and then it started tumbling, and then flight termination system was activated. So that's what happened on the last flight. So if they see that same exact thing happen here, then yeah, they got to do something. They got to do a big design change of some sort, I would assume, in order to make that not happen again. Ideally, that would be great if it never happened again. Yeah. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see exactly what the root cause comes down to be, right? Just compared to Flight 7, and it failed at essentially the same point in flight. Yeah, Admiral, we talked about that earlier. The previous Flight 7 had its first engine go out at 7 minutes and 40 seconds into flight. And then around 7 minutes and 50 seconds into flight, we had 2 additional engines go out. And then at like 8 minutes and 5 seconds into flight, we had another engine go out. And then basically at that point, it popped. It exploded. So yeah, we now see essentially that same thing happen here, where at around 8 minutes and something into flight, at around 8 minutes and 5 seconds into flight, we had another engine failure of some sort. So yeah, it's roughly around the same area of time, you know, which is not great. I feel like the hot staging ring is causing problems. Maybe. I mean, yeah, they have to figure out exactly what the issue is. Yo, Noah coming in with 24 Kerbal years of support. Much love to you, my friend. How are you doing? And this is why they don't go to orbit. Yeah, well, this is why they don't go to orbit yet, because they're definitely iterating quickly and finding new problems to fix. Yeah, that is the name of engineering, so to speak, or at least a way to do it. I just saw a little green light at 756 near the sea level engines at 756. At 750, way too far back. 756, huh?
Get to the Starship engine.
A green light. A green light?
Really cool view.
What kind of green light?
Again.
Oh, on the pop?
Shout outs to all of our avionics team who make these cameras possible for us. That's looking.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the reason. Yeah, but if you're not hitting your performance benchmarks, then you have to change it, right?
Pretty good view of all 6 Raptors, especially those 3 inner ones.
So you're talking about there? No, you said 756. I did not see anything at 756.
Our avionics team who make
a green
these
light.
Cameras possible for us. That's looking right.
I'm not seeing it.
Inside.
Am I missing something?
Cameras possible for us. That's looking. All of our avionics team who make these cameras possible.
A green
for us.
light.
That's looking right down inside.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Not seeing anything. Bottom of the screen, 752.
Again, a million shout outs to all of our avionics team who really
green
cool
light.
View. Again, a million shout outs to all of our
Where
avionics
exactly?
team
Like down here?
Really cool view. Again,
I mean, like something's definitely burning there, right, chat? Like that is definitely something burning. You can actually see parts of it breaking off there.
Really cool view.
You see that? Those little pieces of sparks or whatever they are, like probably part of like wiring filament or something, kind of igniting. So yeah, it's not great.
Make these cameras possible for us. That's
right under the word test. So yeah, here.
Really cool view. Again.
So is that what you're talking about?
Shout outs to all of our avionics team who
right under the word test.
Again, a million shout outs to all of our avionics team.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Make these cameras possible.
I see what you're saying.
For us. That's looking.
The engines are burning. The engines are burning in a way that they should not be burning. Yeah, exactly.
where you can see.
So no catch on flight 9. Yeah, no catch on flight 9.
Three inner ones,
and then you can clearly see something pop there. Not good.
A little bit later.
Yeah, no catch of Starship on flight 9, Wraith, is what he's talking about.
Go out.
Anyways, that's a big bummer, chat.
The separation of the
freaking fire alarm in the background. How dare they? How dare they do that? I want to see the landing again.
Iterations of the Super Heavy, that hot stage ring will be incorporated into the booster, and we will get it back.
Engineering, the art of finding new and interesting ways to explode. Sure. Yeah.
Just separating off from the right-hand side of the booster.
2-month delay, most likely. Well, I feel like 2-month delay is almost what is expected right now, about a 2-month turnaround. At least that's what it seems to be. So SpaceX between like flight test 3 and 4 was about 3 months, and then between, or maybe 4 months, and then flight test 4 to 5 was 3 months, and then 5 to 6 was 3 months, and then 6 to 7 was 3 months, and then this one was what, 2 months? So depending on how exhaustive of an investigation and how quickly they find the problem, we could be looking at, 3 or 4 months before the next flight, just depending on what the issue is. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they said, yeah, we're not going to be able to launch until, July, until the summer, so.
Flight, everything looking good for the
at least booster worked like a charm, yeah.
Today, what's it like there at Starbase as we get ready to catch?
FAA won't be happy? No, FAA would not be happy. What I liked on this IR camera view that we had is that you can clearly see it start to go through re-entry. Because even though it's not hot enough necessarily, and the stainless steel is able to take care of what thermal loads there are, because it's, it's only 40 kilometers up. It's going pretty fast, but, it's not like a Falcon 9 first stage booster that goes up to 120 kilometers on a parabolic trajectory. So they don't have to do like a landing burn or a re-entry burn using supersonic retropropulsion. They don't have to do that. But you can very clearly see here as it starts going through basically a small form of entry, the entire bottom section on this IR camera starts heating up. And then as they go to the actual visible spectrum camera, you can actually see that this bottom part be completely orange and like orange red hot, which is pretty crazy to see. But you can actually see it propagate here. See it starting to go right there, and it's heating up. Oh man. And then now it's on fire. I don't know, probably a little bit of both. So they were purging propellants, it seemed like, and that looked like it caught on fire, but this would be like straight re-entry heating from just the sheer shock load on the vehicle. But yeah, look at that. That is crazy. So many flights on hold, patterns are diverting. Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah, that's not good.
See that coming up here.
Gotta hear the supersonic, or the shock waves. Yeah, there it goes.
It's going to come down to 3 engines as the booster slows down 4.
But yeah, very hot. You could see it smoking and burning off whatever thermal protection they have at the bottom there.
Boom. What an incredible sight to see these super heavy.
I can't believe they did it again.
Gliding down into the
it's routine now, chat. It's routine, which is crazy. It's actually routine. Ugh. My goodness gracious.
Stuck the landing.
Wow.
Prior to the ship failure, the thing I found interesting was how they caught the booster off to the side. This seems unintentional based on the tower. Oh yeah, that's actually a good call. Yeah, it did catch it off to the side, didn't it?
With that final precision burn on the 3 engines in for the tower.
That's kind of what they intend to do in the future, as far as I'm aware.
Keep an eye on ship. We still got 6 Raptors burning. Those are going to continue for about another minute until we'll get to.
Yep, there were a couple of engine failures on booster. 2 failed to relight on the booster on the boost back maneuver, and then 1 failed to ignite on the landing burn.
These cameras possible for us. That's looking. Right down inside essentially the skirt area of ship, where you can see.
God, this is crazy.
Of all 6 Raptors.
I can't believe it failed again.
That's one of which we're going to hopefully
so bad
a little bit later.
It's not good. And in like almost the same place as well. Like if it's not the same problem, right, chat? If it's not the same problem, then there's no worries. But if it is the same problem, that's a point to worry, because now you have something that you thought you understood beforehand. You thought you tested well enough to figure out that that was the issue and that you fixed it, and you didn't. And that's like worst case scenario for any sort of like engineering problem where, yeah, we found the problem and we fixed it, and then you go and figure out that no, that either wasn't the actual problem or you didn't actually fix it. Both of those things are absolutely horrible. You're starting to not like Block 2 Starship? Well, it's kind of necessary. That's what I was saying. So somebody, was it you, Zerax? If it's broke, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The only problem is that as we saw in Starship flights 1 through 5, basically, is that the version 1 Starship is not sufficient to have like any payload go to orbit, which is not good, right? So they have to extend the tank section. They have to eventually get it to where it's safe enough even for humans, right? Because the whole very, very long down the road goal is to be able to put humans on this thing. So they have to human rate it. So there's a lot of upgrades that it needs just to get, payload into orbit autonomously, and then a whole slew of problems that they're going to have once they start trying to qualify it for human space flight. Like, it's got to change. Like like version 1 is definitely not good. They do, of course, have to keep iterating and improving the design, but yeah, this is so far not it. So far not the answer, which, sucks. They'll figure it out. It's SpaceX that we're talking about, right? They'll figure it out, but it's just a bummer that it's happened like this twice now.
And at this point, we've essentially lost contact with the ship. We're no longer receiving telemetry at this moment.
Maybe, Rams.
So we were only about 20 seconds away or so from the end of that ship ascent burn. We saw several of the engines start to...
Can the dynamic conditions during such a failure be simulated correctly by static fire? They thought so. They thought so, Lava. They thought, so you don't necessarily have to replicate the conditions and the conditions, right? What is also acceptable is if you can replicate conditions that would arguably be worse than what you would see in flight. So arguably, holding your booster down and having all of the engines ramp up to full power for 60 seconds arguably should actually be maybe worse. Because now if you have it held down right, you basically have a big cantilever beam as the vibrations are shuddering up and down the vehicle and propagating throughout. So arguably that should maybe be a worse case scenario than what you would see in flight. Clearly, like I said, if this is the exact same problem, then yeah, that was not sufficient testing. So not good there. Looks like AI. What looks like AI? But yeah, you can see it in the back here. They're still viewing cameras. You can still see it tumbling here in the on this monitor, and then you can see that pop, 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 and then pop. Oh no! Yeah, you could definitely see it there. That was what one of the X feeds that we saw. Somebody link in chat, but you can see all the cameras go out one by one, pop, pop, and then zoom in on this one, and eventually pop. Oh man, not good. They need to upgrade it, but I feel like they are changing too much too fast. That's the way SpaceX does it, right? SpaceX goes fast and they test a failure often. I've talked about this before in past live streams when we do like our aerospace engineering deep dives, and there's a very big difference between what SpaceX does and what ULA does, which basically, if you guys remember Vulcan's first flight and of course SLS's first flight, they do a whole bunch of upfront work. It usually expands the overall, time frame of development, but you basically get to a single, what's known as a proto-flight system. It's your first prototype, and it's also a flight qualification system. The expectancy is that you build one system and it works. SpaceX is very much on the order of, I guess, what could be, it's technically known as spiral development because you're working with hardware, but it, I guess, could also be a rudimentary form of agile development if you're from the software world, where you're getting something to work, you're doing, constant improvements, constant iterations. Usually that increases your overall cost because now you have to develop a lot of different iterations of hardware, and hardware is expensive, case in point. But typically you can go through development faster. So it just depends. I mean, yeah, it has its use cases in both worlds, but so far they're hitting pain points. But like I said before, it's not like they haven't been here before, and it's not like they aren't going to figure out what the problem is and fix it. It just seems like it's bad, right? It seems like it's worse than it is, but hopefully they'll come through on the other side. I mean, they will. Falcon 1 failed 4 times and Falcon 9 failed for years. Yeah, exactly. So it's not like they won't fix the issue. It just sucks it was 2 times in a row and maybe possibly the same issue. That's the thing for me. I don't really care that it failed again. I just hope it's not the same problem. That would be really bad.
All right, so coming back with you real quick. So can confirm we did lose contact with
I don't
the
think
ship.
so, whatever. I don't think so. I mean,
Unfortunately, this
maybe they
happened last time
can
too, so
sue,
we've got some practice at this now.
I don't
We've
think so.
got a lot of measures in place, like debris response areas where we coordinate very closely with air traffic control. We have a lot of measures put before we ever launch a rocket to make
Could
sure
a
that
flight
we're keeping
computer
the
cause
public
this
safe. Those
issue?
worked
I mean,
last time,
yeah, I
and
guess
they're
it
actively
could.
in work right now.
But I don't think so in this
just to
case. It
recap
seemed way
real quick,
too
everything we saw, we lifted off.
it seemed way too benign. Like the entire vehicle from a dynamic standpoint was very stable. Like it looked great, right? But yeah, I think it was definitely another hardware issue, another engine section issue, another engine problem. But like, could a flight computer cause this? I guess yes, if the flight computer was controlling some aspect of the vehicle that would cause, propellant sloshing and whatnot. It didn't look like it was propellant sloshing because the vehicle looked really stable until after the engine shut down, but yeah, we'll see. And look at where Falcon 9 is now exactly. I believe in them. I know better than to doubt them. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, I'm not down that it exploded per se. I'm just down that it looked to be the same problem. So we'll have to hear more if it was the same problem. If it was the same problem, I don't like that, but it is what it is, chat, right? But anyways, I guess that's going to do us for the Starship Flight 8 launch coverage. So overall, the end of the day, Starship 34 ended the same way as Starship 33, i.e. an explosion. But what is great, Chad, is we got some fantastic views from all of this. We got new camera angles. Booster 15, which did have its own upgrades, flew brilliantly and landed. Hot staging ring worked great. Starship actually worked pretty fantastically as well up until 8 minutes into flight. Seems good all the way up until that 8-minute time frame. Let me tell you what, chat. But before we go, we'll watch the landing of Booster 15 one time, and then I want to kick over and look at the Intuitive Machines press conference.
Hypersonic grid fins to help guide itself through this atmospheric entry back.
Yeah, I know, right, Thailand, indeed.
Precision landing at the launch site. Once again, we're going to ignite first the Center 13 engines.
It looks so good.
See that coming up here momentarily.
So good. And see, they have all but one engine ignite on landing.
As the booster slows down for its
the entry definitely looks hot, yeah. Booster's feeling it a little bit. You can see the engine section, the thermal paint or whatever they have on the inside burning off.
What an incredible sight to see the super heavy booster gliding
down. Not as far as I'm aware, Xerax. They think it's tipped over like the first one. So good. So good. Definitely it seems like more smoke than I remember from the previous mission, but doesn't really mean anything so long as the booster's not damaged.
All right. We saw 12 out of 13 light for that landing burn. Booster still able to make its way with that final precision burn on the 3 engines.
They can light them even closer to the tower, pretty much. Yeah, they're definitely fine-tuning its trajectory, right?
Still got 6 Raptors burning. Those are going to continue for about another minute until we'll get to the Starship engine.
But they have to change the material type. Material type
really
of what?
Cool view. Again, a million shout-outs to all of our avionics team who make these cameras possible for us. That's looking right down inside, essentially the skirt area of ship, where you can see.
Do they swing the booster when they catch it?
Raptors,
No. I mean, you might be able to see. Oh, there's the engine pop.
A little bit later.
And the tumble. Yeah, you can see it because it comes in at a angle,
and
right?
Just saw some
till it actually gets picked up by the chopsticks, and then that momentum carries itself and it kind of swings there. And it was going so well, chat. It was going so well.
Ship MTS is saved.
So we're still getting video down from the ship. You can see we've lost several engines and we've lost attitude control of the vehicle.
Yeah, we saw that, Luis. Yeah, we pointed that out. Definitely looks like a fire.
Light for as possible.
You can see here like some like white gray smoke, which to me it looks like smoke, like something burning and not something just venting. You know, take that with a grain of salt. You don't know until you know, but it looks like something burning there.
Really cool view. Again,
and
a million shout outs to all of our avionics.
Then we see 10 seconds after this what looks to be an engine pop. So
looking right down inside essentially the skirt area of ship.
Yeah, Mad Chad, the linkage definitely ran pretty long.
6 Raptors, especially those 3 inner ones, one of which we're going to hopefully relight a little bit later.
Yep, engine pop, and then the 2 asymmetric thrusts caused it to go into a spin.
It looks like we are losing attitude control of the ship.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyways, like I said, chat, that's probably going to do us for the SpaceX stream. What I want to switch over to now is we have an Intuitive Machines press conference, I think, happen. Let's see here. If you guys don't know, Intuitive Machines was attempting to land its lunar lander, its second lunar lander on the surface of the moon this morning at around 10:30 a.m. I think Mountain Time, around 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and they got good comms. It sounds like it did in fact land. They were having some telemetry issues due to communications, and then they basically said, "Oh, it looks like we've landed," but they don't know in what orientation because they're getting kind of like confusing readings, like readings that the engine was still active, which shouldn't have been the case if it was on its side. Telemetry in terms of communications they were generating power, but not as much as they expected. So, they were getting some conflicting information. So what I'm going to do is on the YouTube side, thank you guys very much for watching the SpaceX Flight 8 launch. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will definitely be tracking Starship's Flight 8 information throughout the week as soon as we know throughout my streams. But we're going to switch over. I'm going to end the stream on YouTube and kick us over into a different stream for this NASA press conference. And then we're going to watch the press conference and see what's happening with the lunar lander. So Twitch, you guys don't need to worry about anything. I'm not going anywhere. But for YouTube, I'll see you guys back here momentarily. So let's see what we can do here. I want to end stream on the YouTubes and then start up another one. So see you guys in a little bit. All right, let's get some music on. There we go.